Hey, it's FYF Sports. We back with another podcast episode. Today, this video, again, it's going to be an interview with a guy that I ran across on another YouTuber's channel. This is a brother who he brought up some very good points when these guys were just kind of speaking on some of these issues surrounding today's NBA topics with teams having players that do want to play and players that don't want to play. And so again, a lot of the stuff that he spoke on kind of touched home with a lot of the philosophies that I like to kind of bring to light when speaking on these subjects. So, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get straight to it. This is a brother by the name of Straightway, Georgia, Elder Rufus. And we're just going to speak with him today on some of these just topics surrounding the NBA and then just how as black men and women we can navigate just through this, not just the sports issues that are going on, but just in life in general. So, hey, how you doing, brother? Just kind of just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can just go from there.
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. A little bit about me. My background is I come from sports like most of us. You found out earlier, I was born and raised in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Went to high school there. Went to college. Excuse me. I went to college in Michigan, though. Mm-hmm. Then came back to Fort Wayne, and then moved down here to Georgia in 2008. Pretty much because I could see the writing on the wall for what was coming to the world. And, with the civil unrest and all the things that were going on, the direction that this country was going, I just had a burn in my heart to provide and protect for my family in the best way possible. So I started sacrificing, doing what I needed to do, because I knew just the kind of guy I am, I'm not going to want to just do this for mine. I want to do it for anybody that sees the same thing I'm seeing, you know what I mean, and want to get away from the stuff. So I've been doing that literally for the last couple of decades, and that's kind of what got me here. But, of course, I played high school football, high school basketball. I played college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ended up playing semi-pro football after I got done with college basketball. And but then I coached the AAU. I got a lot of friends that are still tied or have been tied to the NBA and the NFL. Like two of my best friends, they're both big-time sports agents. Well, one of them has just passed away here a few years ago, but one of them is still alive. So that was one of my main connections to the NFL and the NBA. And then we just had a lot of people in that kind of area I grew up in down there that ended up making it to the league. We had young men ourselves that played in our AAU team that made it to the NBA, that made it to the NFL. So that was my connection that is my connection, I should say, to the NBA and the NFL. And so that's my kind of sports background about it. I've done it all, from coaching, finance, liaison work, you name it. You know what I'm saying? I've done it all when it comes to that. And this climate we in now, man, it's definitely different. It's definitely different. Mm-hmm. And the NBA today is definitely different than the NBA when I was coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, so that, and then I'm glad you said you're from Indiana, because with me being from Indiana, one of the main things that most people from Indiana can have in common is that sports background. Especially growing up as a kid, you almost feel obligated to participate in some type of sport, whether it was basketball, football, baseball for some like my brother. So I think for a lot of us in Indiana, we can all relate to the sports side of things. But I think that especially in the state of Indiana, the sports kind of put a mask over some of the social issues that state in and of itself is facing just across the board. I remember when I was in high school, we had a game, and I went to Arsenal Tech in Indianapolis. We had a game that was actually forfeited because of racial slurs being used. So I know it's still prevalent down there in Indiana. So I know these issues still exist, even with sports being the Band-Aid. They did quickly remove that team from the league, and I think they suspended them for 2 years from just play, period. So they did have a quick resolution to it, but I know that those racial undertones still exist. So just kind of back to the NBA, that's my primary focus. There's been this real big divide with NBA players. You have a number of players who do want to play, and they feel that they could use that limelight to put even more light on these social issues. They feel as NBA players that's what they can do. But then you also have another faction of players who feel that sitting out and then addressing these social issues from that standpoint is going to be more effective. I mean, I don't really think there's a right or wrong in this situation, but let us know what you think. What do you think the players should do in this situation? How can they take advantage of kind of what's going on right now?
From a black person's perspective, I do think that there's a right, and the right is because of the moment that we're living in. We need to seize this moment, and there's a lot of control that's been given to black athletes, black entertainers, black stars, because we entertain the world. Let's just keep it real. The best of the best are black. You just have to be honest about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think the players should not play because the control that they have right now, it could bring about some serious legislation, financial change. The problem I see, though, with that is who actually has this plan? Who actually has the format and the demands to be able to go to these owners? Now, I do also see the other side, the financial side, because, the players that look at it from the financial side of it realize that you're not going to motivate and move billionaires when you're taking money from them. See what I'm saying? They understand that the only thing that pushes their buttons and motivates them to do something is when they realize that we can benefit from it financially. That is their goal, these billionaires. So they're saying, look, we do have leverage, but we got to be smart about this thing. If we're not playing, we ain't going to be able to motivate them to do nothing because they're losing all this money in their eyes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I understand both sides of it, but I don't necessarily agree with the notion that you can go out there and play right now and it won't be a distraction from this movement, because it will. I mean, think about it. We had the hangings, right? Took place in California, Texas. I forgot the other state. I looked now this morning, it's been up to 6 hangings in the last week or two. What have we been talking about, though? Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving. This is a brother that's not even finna play. He already know he's not gonna get on the court.
No.
But just that little bit of a story has distracted us from the movement. So I get what the players are saying when they say, no, let's not step back on that court. Because once we step back on that court, now it's going to be about T-shirts, slogans, sayings, signs. That stuff don't work. Kyrie was telling the truth when he said that. That stuff don't work. I'm the type of person that I fully believe that if you're going to protest, just like the protesters, the Protestants that came over here and protested against the government overseas, the England government, came over here and took the land from the indigenous people, my people. You see what I'm saying? They protested violently. So if you're going to protest, you got to do it with guns. You got to do it ready to fight. It ain't a real protest if you ain't in that mode. But these NBA guys, they realize, a lot of them realize that we can make them do the things we need for them to do, but where's that plan? And see, that's what the other people want to deflect to is, okay, that's fine, that makes sense, but what are your demands? What do you want these owners to do? It can't just be give $20 million here every year. You see what I'm saying? Because most of these groups that are set up, they're set up by billionaires. They're set up by Black Lives Matter, all this stuff. They're set up by these boogers are pushing agendas.
No.
They don't really truly care about Black lives. They don't. And the players actually know this. So they got to have a formulated plan. And I think it has to go deeper than just the NBA players. They're going to need to get, unfortunately, the black politicians, the black business leaders, the black moguls. They're going to have to get all these people involved to put forth a plan to say, this is how we're going to fight it. And I like the steps we've made so far, the little steps. People don't understand it means something when they're defacing and tearing down statues and taking away different movie titles and different things or shows, and you know what I mean, anything that resembles any level of slavery or racism, they're getting rid of. That's a good start.
Yeah.
That's a good start. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
But hopefully that makes sense what I was saying.
No, it definitely makes sense. I mean, I come from a slightly different perspective because when I look at it, from what I've seen and from the players that I've talked to, it almost essentially feels like the players that were actually doing the most socially, and I'll give you an example, LeBron James, not just with what he was doing in Georgia, but before that, he actually led a really big movement, donated a lot of his money to a movement in Ferguson, Missouri that helped educate black voters, give them and help them understand the importance of voting locally. And they were able to vote in the first black mayor that they've ever had in history. And we know that the mayor controls the police force. And then if the mayor controls the police force, they can get better policing in there. They can get more black police officers in there. And then if you can't find enough black police officers now, then maybe what they're planning on doing is they're starting up youth academies to help teach or motivate some young black men to go into some of these police academies and become police officers. And I think that's how you start instilling long-term change, as opposed to kind of just protesting. Like you say, we can't just protest. We actually have to have a plan. So from what I've seen, the players that are actually or have already been doing things socially have been the players that actually want to play. And so that's why I've been really hard on Kyrie Irving, because again, I don't know what his activism has been prior to this. And again, I think all of us maybe were a bit lax on our own activism until we actually saw George Floyd getting killed, and that made everyone kind of step up. So I mean, sometimes it takes something like that being thrown in front of us to get everybody to really wake up, blacks, whites, all races. And I just, like I said, I think you can kind of look at it from two sides. I can understand why LeBron wants to play in the financial side of it, putting money in these players' hands who can then put that money in these communities. But then I also respect the players that actually want to sit out. But I feel like if you're going to ask all of these players to sit out and sacrifice their money, you definitely got to have some type of plan in place to not just, because again, we're dealing with guys whose careers are strictly basketball. They're not politically driven. They're not politically focused. So you have to give them a plan. You can't just say sit out. Some of these guys need that direction because this is a completely different scope for them, and they need some direction or someone telling them, what do we need to do as players? What do we need to focus on? Where do we need to put our monies? Because as you know, there are a lot of organizations out there that just put up a big front and don't really do anything. And so again, having a good plan will put everybody on the same page, get everybody on the same accord, make sure we're getting the money in the right people's hands, so that something can get done, as opposed to just people making it look as if something is getting done. What do you think about that?
I fully agree with that, and I was trying to make the base of both sides, and I understand the perspective that you're coming from, and it's actually a good perspective because, again, the billionaires that you're trying to force to do something, they only move by money.
Yep.
So money has to be getting generated for them to keep it moving. So anytime you step into the negotiation table with anybody, it has to be a scenario and situation where both parties leave the situation feeling like they've won. These people are still these billionaires are going to feel like what they're investing is down the road going to benefit them. And part of the issue when it comes to the collab and getting everybody involved is this thing that people want to ignore. The issue is systematic racism. So the system is the problem. Yeah. Well, you can put a black mayor in, but what if the black mayor is tied to the system? And the system is funding them, and the system is taking care of them, and the system is paying for them. I made a statement the other night on one of the broadcasts, how are you going to fight against something that is funded and taking care of you, something that you are 100% dependent on? You see what I'm saying? There's no freedom in that. You're going to be bound to a specific entity because that entity is your life source. You see what I'm saying? And that's where the conundrum comes in with a lot of these players, because they realize I need money to do the stuff in my heart I want to do, like LeBron James. Because, I've never agreed with like the on the court and decisions and things that LeBron do on the court, but I love him off the court.
Yeah.
I see the stuff that LeBron is doing. Not saying that he ain't a great player. He's one of the best of all time. Don't get me wrong. I ain't gonna slight him. He's the man. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I'm old school. Get it done like MJ. Get it done like Kobe.
Yeah.
LeBron got a different way of doing it because he's got different goals that MJ and Kobe had. I remember being at the press conference when LeBron was 18. Matter of fact, I was in the agent business at the time. We tried to get to LeBron. Now, he was, you couldn't get to him. We got to his mom, but we couldn't get to LeBron back then. But his goals are different than what Kobe's goal was and what MJ's goal was. But he's still great. And people don't understand there's different levels of greatness. He wants to do these things the right way, but he also knows, because he's tied to the system, that he needs these people, these billionaires, to function and flow a certain way for him to be able to do what he wants to do for the people. So I understand that perspective. I truly do. And that's why I said you got to bring everybody in. Because when you bring them all in, now what you do is you build a circle of accountability too, from every aspect of this thing. It's just not in the hands of politicians, which mayors, governors, senators, they're all politicians. Sheriffs, they're all politicians. You see what I'm saying? When you bring everybody into the scope, now you got a management of accountability, so that everybody can check everybody to make sure we're all staying on course. We're all doing what we said we were going to do. We're not veering here just because this situation happened. We're not veering here just because this situation happened. I even like the ideas I heard people throwing out there about, investing more in the historically black colleges. I like that idea. Developing black leaders. But the key is this. Don't forget, the problem is the system. It's systematic racism. So you have to deal with the system. So if you're raising them up in this system, training them in this system, you're not going to get anywhere. So the system has to be dealt with, so that once we deal with the system, then the training, then the training has to be done in a specific way, and the development and the processes and the preparation has to be done in a different manner than what has been done in the past. And that's what I'm hoping these guys, using their influence, can come to the table with and make a change like that.
Right. And see, I like what you said about if you can get certain people in office, but they can be a part of the system. And that's why I say that when you're dealing with politics on any level, whether it's local or federal, you're always going to have that. But this is why I really stress the importance of teaching, especially not just the blacks of the day, but young blacks, the importance of voting and continually voting. Because again, sometimes you're always going to have that one person who's not going to do things like, for example, a lot of people feel as if Obama didn't do everything that he could have done for the black community. Okay, and I feel like if we would have instilled the importance of voting long term a little bit better, we could have kept at the next election and maybe got somebody in office federally who maybe favored what we wanted. But I think we all stopped voting after Obama was out of office. And then I don't even think we even stressed the importance of voting locally. And that's why you have, voting. I feel like voting locally is more important because those are your judges, those are your prosecutors, those are your councilmen. They get things done in your own community. They can help you get things done in your own community. So I feel like if we stress the importance of not just voting once, but continually voting, you can eventually get the right people in there. And then you can, again, it's all a game. So people are going to start catering to what you want and need. If you're actually putting them in office, you're putting money into their campaigns and you're lobbying for them. They're eventually going to start catering to what you need, just because politics is a game. So we just have to understand that we have to play that game to get what we want. Sometimes we can't just sit back and hope that people are going to just do stuff for us without doing something for them. And I think that's just the sad part about politics. You have to play that game. And there are some people that are willing to play it and they end up getting what they want.
Let me present a little bit slight different perspective you can look at it from, okay? Yeah. You seem like a very educated young brother. I'm sure you're familiar with what they call Black Wall Street, correct? All right. I tell people this all the time. The number one problem Black Wall Street had was they didn't do anything to protect physically what they developed. They didn't. You see what I'm saying? Black Wall Street was independently wealthy outside of the system, and it used the system to bring in wealth and keep it, just like all the nationalities and races do. See, when I know the system is a problem, I can't trust the system to fix itself. I can't do that. This is why I live the way I live. Now, I know it's one person at a time. It's the ant mentality. But I'd rather go that route than to try to get in bed with a system that I already know is fixed to be against me. And I heard what you said about playing the game.
Yeah.
That's what they want. Because they know in the end they got more money and more power, and they're going to win the game. My thing is when you set up, take what they give you, take that economical power and set up your own structures, set up your own things, and fund it yourself. Now, you still can get the money from them, because why? They still going to want us to build. Like me, I'm a builder, right? So we build decks and houses and garages and stuff like that. I take all that money and I put it back into this community, in these communities, and I get people free that way so that they don't have to depend on the system for nothing at all. Now, what happens today that the system shuts down or you don't have access to the system? Well, if you got everything set up the way it should, you don't need them. You got your own water supplies, you got your own food stored up, food supplies. You got all of that stuff yourself. You're growing your own foods. You're doing everything you need to do. But they know that as long as you're depending on me for your food, you're depending on me for electricity in your house, you're depending on me for the water flowing through your pipes, you're going to be subject to me. They know this. So they know ultimately the system, I'm saying they as a system, they got the trump card over us. Because the day is this. I'm telling you this how this stuff works. When we push, and we push to a point where they say, you know what, bump this, that's what's going to happen. They're going to send out the police forces. They're going to send out the National Guards. They're going to have their rubber bullets, and they're going to have their gas and all this kind of stuff, and they're going to force you back with force, not expecting you to come with force and make you. And then worse come to worse, they can shut the trucks down. Each highway, all these highways are owned by them. You know, every city, if you look at it, it's got a highway circling it. Some highways. You shut down the exits, people can't get in and can't get out. You cut off food going to the Walmarts and the grocery stores, what they going to do? You see what I'm saying? That's why I can't trust the system. That's why I can't do it. So something has to be set up independently from the system that gets us free from that level of bondage. See, we just went from a physical slavery to a mental slavery. That's all. We're still in bondage. Those that allow themselves to be. But that's the perspective I would love for these millionaires to go that route, because they could. We could set that up with the right structure and the right framework and the right levels of accountability, but it's going to take, see, they all calling for sacrifice right now. Kyrie, I'm willing to give up my salary. That's cool. It's easy to say I'll give up 30, 40, 70 million down the road because I got 50 million in the bank. My thing is, what you going to do with that 50 million in your bank, Kyrie? Are you going to put that all towards the movement? See, everything I do here goes there. I ain't had a salary in so long, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a salary. I don't get paid to be an elder. I don't get paid to be a community leader. You see what I'm saying? Every dime comes in is to develop this here. And every time we add lands and houses, we add people that think the same way, that feel the same way, that want to be free. You see what I'm saying? That's the type of thing. When I go look at Black Wall Street, that's what they had. And that's why they got revolted against, because the system realized, oh, hell no. They finna get too powerful. They finna get too powerful. Today, because of the black leaders that we've had, the Huey Newtons and the Black Panthers and all these type of people, and Malcolm X's and all these, we realize, man, we got to get stuff done by any means necessary. So I want to live out here peaceful and quiet. But if you come infringing on my rights, I'm prepared for that. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's a better avenue. Have our own. People throw out, well, just start your own league. I don't know. You may know this better than I do. I don't think that's even legal for them to do right now while they're under contract. That's like a conflict of interest. I don't think they can while they're under contract. Now, if they lock you out, that's a total different story. Maybe we push that envelope to get locked out so that we can go start our own league. Because again, the money's going to flow where you trying to think these people ain't going to invest. They will. The companies, the Nikes, the Reeboks, all them, they'll come because it's going to make them money. But you got to be willing to go through that little pain at first, and you got to be willing to sacrifice so that everybody can come in. We can't just have a small group of people sitting up here, got all the funds, and everybody else is peasants under them. You see what I'm saying? There's got to be levels of equality, and I'm not saying everybody got to be on the same level, but there's got to be levels of equality. I hope that makes sense.
No, like I said, I mean, it's like I said, I mean, you got, and when it comes to this stuff, I'm always going to listen because obviously you know a lot more about this stuff than I do. I think we have, I know at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, and I could tell by the way you're talking. That's the goal you have, and I know that's the end goal for me is just to see all of this change, especially this systematic stuff. And I've seen a lot of stuff, you know, just being in Indiana and all these different states, being in Indiana, Illinois, Mississippi, now Arizona. I've seen a lot. You know, one of the things that I try to do is, and I even told Ticket TV about this, is I've in the past I've volunteered my time to go inside some of these prisons and teach financial literacy to some of these guys, because one thing I know is when they get out, you know, making money is something you immediately have to do. And if you don't understand how to manage, you know, $8 an hour from McDonald's to get to where you need to be, you're going to find yourself right back in prison. And I've tried to do it down here in Phoenix. They don't want to let me in to teach that type of stuff down here. But so again, there are, you know, they allow me in Indiana, they allow me to go into Westville correctional facility and go do that. You know, so again, it's different in different places, but you know, having talked to these guys, you know, I've talked to guys in some of these prisons where they say the same way you go possibly get a job or fill out a college application is the same way I go to the corner and start selling crack rocks. And so they have a mindset and I have a more long-term approach, but I feel like we have to start changing this mindset that we're so limited. Like, we can't get educated. Like, and that's what I tell them. I said, it starts with just us admitting as a people what we do and what we don't know. And then once we understand that, we can start teaching them. I'm not telling everybody to go to college. College isn't for everyone, but financial literacy is for everyone. And again, understanding financial literacy is going to put you ahead in a lot of different situations in this world. And again, I just feel like it can help everyone, but it just starts with us understanding that. And that comes, like you said, it comes with that sacrifice. So there's a lot of NBA players out there not willing to sacrifice their money because they don't have that financial literacy. And even, like I said, it even goes with the millionaires of today. You know, it's sad, but there are some NBA players that are living paycheck to paycheck because they don't understand how to manage money. They don't understand credit. They don't, you know, there's a lot they don't understand. So it starts with us teaching that. That's just one aspect of it. There's a lot of things that we can teach, but for me, that's what I have the ability to teach and give to these guys. That's what I try to give. And that's what I say all across the board. If everybody gave a little bit of what they know to this movement. And again, you don't have to, you know, I don't like to put the whole burden of this on athletes. I don't want to put this on athletes and say, I need you guys to lead us. No, I would rather say, here's my 2 cents. It might not be in volume as much as what an NBA player can do, but it's something. And I think collectively is if we all started doing that, if we all started accepting the fact that, you know, we need more education in some of these, just in certain aspects. Like I said, I'm not talking about going to college or anything like that, just learning more with regards to finances, politics. I think that'll help everybody in the whole, because, and another example is when I lived in Chicago. I would run into a lot of guys that could play ball. I'd be like, why aren't you in school? And the first thing they would say is, I can't pay for school. Like, it's too expensive. And I was like, you know, they got something called a Pell Grant that'll get you through most of it. And what's a Pell Grant? And I was like, you never heard of a FAFSA form? No, I don't know what a FAFSA form. You know, it's just small things like that that tell you right there. You know, I'm like, what's going on in Chicago where these kids are coming out of high school and don't know anything about Pell Grants, FAFSAs, and like I said, now we got to start looking at who are we putting in these schools? You know, what kind of teachers are we putting in here where you got super kids who are crazy talented athletically. We can't even get them into college. And that's what they can give to the black community is their athletic gifts. Like, some people have different gifts. So I just think as a whole, man, we all need to do more individually. That's the main thing I was stressing to Ticket TV and them. I said, let's not look to the athletes to bail us out of this one. It's going to take everybody. But as we close, what are your last thoughts on that as we close? Because we definitely got to wrap this up. So just let us know what you think on that before we get up out of here.
Yeah, you hitting it, my brother. And I said the same things on there when Ticket was trying to infuse, well, the athlete. I said, hey, that's our problem now.
Yep.
We are always trying to look for somebody else to do for us what we can do for ourselves. This starts with a change of mind.
Yep.
So you get it, brother. All this stuff you going through now, I've been through it all, brother. See, I didn't talk about my social work background, but that's what came right after college. At the lowest of levels, meaning I was doing group homework. I was taking young men, putting them in independent living programs, teaching them financial wealth, financial stability, teaching them literacy, all these types of things to be men. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, I found out in my years of doing that is because I didn't care about the money. I didn't need, you know what I'm saying? I was good. I was like, I'm straight. I want to help. The problem is when you push the system and the system sees that you are trying to get people free, the system is going to push back. And that's why you need the millionaire athletes and all that. Because when they push back, you need somebody with their money to say, hey, we're going to fight you right back. You see what I'm saying? And that's where the equality comes in and the balance comes in. Because you got people that got hearts. I don't know how many people I've met just like you. They got that same heart I had. Now, the biggest thing about me, I just never got discouraged from it. Because you get to a point where you feel like, okay, I can't beat the system. I'm fighting, I'm pushing. People don't want it. I tried to go to Westfield, bro. I tried to go to different prisons and come in and teach different things to them. And I realized they really don't want that because this is a cycle. They want these men to end up coming back. So what I said is, how about I go and start business? So I have 4 businesses right now, right? So when brother gets out, he's got a good mindset. He just wants to do right. I hire him. I train him and teach him an actual skill so that he feels like a man, that he knows something. A lot of them already have skills, but then they can come in and they can learn, and then pay them a decent wage. You're not going to take care of no family. You come out of prison, you got a woman, and she got 2, 3 babies. You see what I'm saying? You're going to take care of her with no $8 an hour. So you got to get jobs that require skilled labor where they can make money. You see what I'm saying? But that's the financial freedom I have because I'm not taking all the proceeds from all my companies and putting them into fancy cars. Now, don't get me wrong, I got luxury cars, but all of them are old. 2009, 2012. The newest car I got is a 2015. And that's the Yukon XL to take my family where we need to go. You understand what I'm saying? It's got to be a sacrifice and a balance there. And that's where the big money guys come in because once that system really starts pressing you, you need their backing then. But again, most of these people are tied to this system. So once the system put their hammer on them and threaten them of cutting off their little goose egg, that's when you start to see the backpedaling. So it's a vicious cycle that I've seen in my almost 50 years of life. So that's why a couple decades ago, I realized, I said, you know what, do it independently. You do it and just take one person at a time and sacrifice what you could be. I could be living in $1 million houses right now. I could. I don't want that though. Why? Because my brother can't have that. I'd rather live in a trailer. I'd rather live in a trailer and know that my brother's free. I really would. And then we get the skills and we go build us nice brick houses or whatever we want to do. You see what I'm saying? The mindset, that was the main thing you hit on, and I'll end with that. That mindset has to change first. And then once people get on that level where their mind is content and they're willing to sacrifice, those are the ones that can help bring about real change in real people's lives. And they're not just talking on some broadcast. And, you know, I got a channel. If you go over there and look, I don't have a lot of videos. I do videos to update people on where we at and what we doing. You want to get close to me, then I can start teaching you the things you need to get your mind free, to get set up the way you need, to prepare the way you need to prepare, and to be a blessing for somebody else coming out. So I'll end on that, man. Again, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you inviting me on your show. I appreciate you giving the opportunity to share with the people what I do really. You know what I'm saying? What's in my heart and what I have made my lifestyle.
Yeah, no, again, I brought you on mainly just to let you know, man, there's people out there that's on the same page. We didn't 100% have the same perspective on everything, but once you speak and you can find common ground, you can, at the end of the day, you can see it. We all trying to get to the same goal. We just got to fight the fight a little bit differently, just because not everyone's blessed with the same skill sets. So, and I'll give you, we had talked about, or how I got into Westville Correctional Facility. When I initially approached them about just coming in straight with the financial literacy program, they said no. The way I got in there was I had to say, no, I'm bringing a basketball team in here. I'm just going to play basketball with these guys, and we're going to have a game just to give these guys something to do. But when I said sports and basketball, they were all for letting me bring a team in there. And so then after the game, I could have a 30, 45-minute conversation with them about financial literacy, how they can get out, find ways to start their own businesses. Again, the businesses that I like to get people set up on are the home-based businesses, like starting your own Amazon store, how to go get inventory, how to search for inventory so you can get started. I feel like that's a low-cost, small thing that you can do to start bringing in income on your own, because not everyone has the credit or know-how to just jump into, setting up a construction company. And one of the worst things I felt like Indiana did, and I feel like this is one of the systematic things that I saw, was they took all of the vocational programs out of these high schools. I know at Tech we had auto mechanic programs, we had laborer programs, things that taught you skills that you can use immediately after you graduate, and they took that all out of high school now. And what you see now is you see a lot of white families who own these businesses teaching their kids those skill sets right out of high school, so they don't have to jump into college. They can transition into their own businesses. And you even see that with some Mexicans now who are coming over, getting these loans and starting their own, landscaping businesses and things of that nature. So again, it's right for us. We have to be able to identify things like that. Just like you say, be smart enough to identify that they're setting us up for failure. And then we have to find ways to create our own lane and create our own successes, as opposed to relying on them to give us something or provide us. I don't think we should go ask them to put vocational programs back, because again, that's a lot of wasted time. We should find ways to get our own businesses and teach our own how to, these vocational trades. So, because you got to think, if you look at these numbers, blacks are graduating college at a high rate. They're going to college, they're getting degrees, but they have the highest failure rate when it comes to starting their own businesses. They're out here, they have with regards to finding jobs within their degree field, they're not finding jobs within their degree field. They're doing other things. So we see that that's not working. And so you have to be able to see that that's not working. And you have to find ways to pave new lanes. But again, like I said, we got to wrap it up. And we could talk about this all day, man, it seems. But definitely appreciate having you on the show. If you can, just let everybody know, just your YouTube page, any social media that you have, and we'll make sure we put it on the screen as well. But just let the people know how they can reach out to you.
The best way to reach out to me is going to my YouTube, Straightway Georgia Elder Lucas, or they can just email me, carswell44@yahoo.com. I'm pretty simple. I'm not real big into social media and stuff. I have an Instagram. I got all that stuff. I don't use it though. I use Facebook a little bit. But YouTube, you can reach out and email me. Is just the best way to get. Then you get my number, then we can get this thing cracking. You know what I'm saying? I spend my day making sure I'm available to do stuff like this for people that's coming under a final mind change, want to do something and get free from this system. So rcarswell44@yahoo.com, and then Straightway Georgia, and that Straightway spelled a different, STRAITWAY, Georgia Elder.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, so I'm going to make sure I put all of that information for you guys watching. I'm going to put all of that information in the description of the video. Probably also going to have a graphic to show, pops up on the screen, so you guys can take down that information. But again, if you want to know more about this stuff, this is the guy you want to speak with. Hey, hold on one second. Don't leave yet as I close the show. But again, I just want you guys to know we appreciate him taking his time. Being part of FYF Sports today. Again, he brought a lot of knowledge, not just to me, but I hope he brought something beneficial to you guys as well. But again, we appreciate all the social media followers that we've been able to gain over the last few weeks. The same with YouTube subscribers. Our channel has been growing at an astronomical rate, a lot faster than we even estimated. So again, we appreciate all the support from everybody that's supporting FYF Sports. But hey, it's been a great episode. It's FYF Sports, and we out for today.